So how's it, guys? As per the title of this video is a how to wheelie video, as I'm sure most of you guys would love to know. So what I'm going to do today, this is a basic wheelie video training video. So I'm going to only show you the basics, i.e. balance point and your foot brake control, how to use the foot brake correctly on this bike. And one of my friends luckily has come along with his XR650, and he's allowed me to use his bike to do it on his as a demonstration, just for the guys that don't have a MT or F07 and has more like something like a DRZ or something to that degree. So as I said, with this being a wheelie video, I'm going to walk around and show you a few things on the bike that you should look out for before you go and practice your wheelies, to make sure that your bike is 100% for it, so that you don't loop it or break it, because that'll be a ending to a bad day for wheelie day for you. So as I said, there is the two main things that you got to focus on your bike when you go wheelie. Firstly, how's the condition of your brakes? Are the brake pads still fine? Everything's still working? Okay, cool, that's all 100%. I've still got brake pads, my discs are still fine. Do I have pressure? Yes, I have enough pressure. I've bled my brakes yesterday, so I know it's got new brake fluid in it, and everything's working 100%. Because the worst thing that you want to do is go to use your foot brake and you have brake fade, and basically your lever just pushes right past and you go over and lie on your back, because that's not going to be fun. Secondly, obviously you make sure, like for example on my bike, you tend to run the oil a little bit higher so that your motor doesn't run lean, or not lean, so that your motor doesn't run out of oil, run dry, and you run a bearing. So further ado, let's get on it and get going. So as I was saying, so depending on what bike you're on, for example this F07, I would always suggest trying in second gear on most bikes. Reason being, second gear is a lot less snappy and a lot more forgiving. First gear on most bikes will become too aggressive and you could potentially hurt yourself and break the bike in the process. So when it comes to learning to wheelie, my simple trick is basically roll on the bike in second gear and see how it performs. So you can see, okay, I could feel she wanted to come up. She was a little bit violent, but that comes with the territory. I mean, she is a 700 after all. What I find the easiest way to do to learn how to wheelie is you go second gear, you basically cruise, and all you do is you keep it at one constant RPM and you pop the clutch and you feel how the bike responds. Okay, right, you felt okay, she didn't give more, so you have to give a little bit more gas and pop the clutch a little bit harder. Hey, there we go, she started to come up. Right, and if you keep obviously continue with this process, and bear in mind, and like I say this at my wheelie school as well, where I train people, take things slow, because this is very important to take things slow, to make sure that you do it constantly and that you can get it correctly, because you don't want to overextend it and damage your bike and hurt yourself in the process. So just take it slow, go try and get 5 centimeters off the ground, then 10 centimeters, then 15 centimeters, and try and be on a constant rate of doing it, till eventually where you get to a point where you can actually ride the bike, go in, clutch up, and she comes up, because that's obviously what you want to do. Now, where it comes to control and wheelies themselves, bear in mind all bikes will wheelies the same way, versus my bike, versus an R1, versus the XR, which I'll show later on. They're all wheelie the same way. The only difference is the amount of input that you put in. So if you're running a 125, you need to wring its neck, dump that clutch as hard as back, and basically bounce the bike to pick the front wheel up. Where with an S1000RR, you'll be able to just roll on the power and the front wheel will come off the ground. And obviously that said, that means any bike in between that spectrum. You just need to know where that bike's happy point is. So as I'm coming again, I'll show you how to do this again. So where it comes to clutch ups, you basically just ride, you cruise down the road, okay, second gear. Now I need to pop the clutch to basically dump the clutch, and as I dump it I need to accelerate at the same time to get the front wheel to come up. So I get my position, right, look forward, don't look down at the bars, because if you look down at the bars you're going to pull yourself towards the bars, which will weighten the bike a lot higher up, and it'll make the bike feel a lot more unstable. What you want to do is keep yourself in a neutral position, as in arms slightly bent, keep them in that same angle, so that when the bike comes up, you naturally lean back with the bike. You don't want to be leaning too far forward, you want to lean backwards. So what you do is you get yourself ready, get yourself calm, okay, no one in front of me, no one around, and clutch, accelerate, up she comes, and put down. And again, I didn't use any brake there, that was just throttle control. I picked it up with the throttle, felt as she came up higher, I could obviously decrease my throttle. When she got to the point of balance, well, just before balance point, I tapped off slightly and she came back down. Another thing that you guys must try to remember, when you go to put the front end down again, roll back onto the power. So don't do this, don't clutch up and then drop, because that's what'll happen. She'll just drop. She'll drop you dead, and if you do it too violently, she can actually throw you over the bars and hurt yourself quite dangerous. What you want to do is clutch up and roll back on the power. And you see, she came down a lot smoother, a lot less violent, and a lot more controllable. Because again, that's what you want. Now we've got to the part where you've obviously practiced and you've done your 5 centimeter, 10 centimeter, and you've got high enough where you can feel that, okay, I'm getting to the point now where this is now starting to feel a little bit dangerous, or sketchy as we say. That's when you have to start using your foot brake. And when it comes to using your foot brake, don't jump on the foot brake, because if you jump on the foot brake, you are going to crash and you're going to have a very bad day. What you need to do is basically feather the foot brake. And what I mean by feather, I mean give slight inputs. Just like when you're riding your bike normally and you go to hit the brake and you want to slow down gradually, you obviously apply the brake gently. If you want to stop now, well, then you slam on the brakes. But now when it comes to wheelies, the smoother the better. 100%. The smoother, the better the wheelie will be, etc., etc. Now, my easiest way to teach people on how to get how to use your foot brake is you basically clutch up and use your foot brake to bring you down. That's it. So clutch up, foot brake, and you try and keep your throttle at a constant. Because what I'm teaching you to do is to have muscle memory on your foot, so that you know how your foot works and how much pressure you need to apply. So let me show you again. So you clutch up, foot brake came down. Clutch up, foot brake comes down. Now, what I'm teaching you now is how to ride the brake, and you do not want to ride the brake. If you ride the brake, you'll cook your brakes and you'll have brake fade, as I said earlier on in the video. So what you want to do is use the brakes when you need it. With the trick that I'm showing you now, I'm just showing you how the brake works and how much pressure you need to apply. And obviously, depending on what you're riding and what brake system you have, that will obviously differ the amount of pressure that you need. So for example, I'll go in second gear, I'll clutch up, and I apply the brake slowly and tap all the throttle. And that's how I get to balance point. I will be showing you multiple angles of this point, so that you can see how my foot and my throttle works together, in a sense of when I tap off the throttle, I apply the brake. When I release the brake, I apply throttle. And that's how you keep in that perfect harmony of balance point. As you can see, come up, tap the brake, tap the brake, tap the brake, tap the brake, and down. Right, I'm gonna have a quick break and I'll get back to it with Chris recording me, so we can get some lovely angles for you guys. Check you guys now. So like I was saying, when it comes to feathering the throttle, you feather the throttle and you feather the foot brake. So here we go, up we go, balance point, and ease the brake guard, release, ease the brake guard, release, on, off, on, on. There we go. And as you can see in the footage, I'm not riding the brake. Obviously I'm over-emphasizing on the amount of brake that I use, but I'm trying to show you that I'm not riding the brake. I use the brake only when I need it. Okay, right, as I said, let's do that again. Right, so clutch up, feather on the brake, release, engage, release, engage, release, engage, 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 and drop down. And the more you practice this, and the smoother that you become, the more control you have over the brakes. In my next video that I'm going to do is the advanced wheelie, I'm going to show you guys how you use the brake to actually physically slow down on the back wheel, and how to keep your weight when you transfer, but that's obviously in the next video. What I'm going to show you now is how I do it on that little bike over there. So as I was saying earlier in the video, I did say I was going to do a different bike, and here it is, my friend's XR 650R. The reason why I'm going to do a demonstration on this bike is because this bike has the same characteristics as your DRZ and very similar to your 450 SMs. Obviously the 450s have a little bit more power and a little bit lighter, but the same principle applies to those bikes. So as I said again, obviously when you're learning how to wheelie, I normally go second gear and clutch. Alright, bike came up nice and easily. So right, roll on again, up you come, brake, bring it down. Okay, clutch, brake, bring it down. And you keep on doing that and keep repeating it. Stay at it until you find, okay, every time I come up, this is how much brake I need to give to bring the front end down. And with that said, the more you practice it, the higher the bike will come up. So for example, I'll bring it up till here, use the brake, bring it down. And bring it up, brake, comes down. And the reason why I teach this, just like I did with the MT, the reason why I do this is so that you can get used to the brake and figure out how the brake works, how much pressure you need, how sharp it is, etc, 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 and also how much power the bike itself also has. So let me show you. Now, once you've mastered bringing the bike down with the brake, the next step is clutch up and bring it up higher. Okay, so fine there, you see. So you bring it up, you bring it down, you bring it up, you put it down. And every time you go higher, you use the back brake to bring the nose down. The reason why I say this, again, it's so that you can get used to using the back brake. Because no matter how far you go back, and any of the stunt riders will tell you, no matter how far you go back, your back brake lever is your saving grace, because that will bring you back to terra firma and stop you from having a really, really bad day. So as I go again, clutch up, and brake to bring down. Now, once you've mastered that, you start going on to the little bit more advanced setups. So where you'll bring the bike up a little bit higher, and you won't use so much brake to bring the nose down, you'll only use enough brake to either slow the bike down in the sense of how fast it's going to come up, so that you can get to that balance point. Because what you want to be is in balance point. You don't want to be chasing a wheelie, and you don't want to be past the balance point, because that tends to go very badly very quickly. So as I was saying, so you clutch up, try to get on a balance point, and you use your throttle and your brake in unison to keep yourself at that neutral, i.e. balance point. So I'm going to demonstrate here for you quickly. Do a U-turn, second gear, right, roll onto the power, clutch up, and apply throttle, brake, apply throttle, brake, brake. And obviously the more you practice on this, the slower you'll be able to do this, and the more control you'll have over your bike, which will make a world of difference. Sweet, I'm going to get another different angle now from one of my friends. He's going to record the side shot so you can see what I'm doing on the bike. So come up, brake, release, brake, release, brake, release, brake, brake, and come down. And obviously I was starting to chase the wheelie a bit, but again, this is not my bike, so I have to get used to it. But as you saw there, you just feather the brake as you need. And obviously you decelerate when you need to, so try and slow the bike down. Reason with the wheelie is the main thing with the wheelie is you want to try and go as slow as possible. The slower you go, the more control you have over the bike, and the more you can start doing advanced techniques. Okay, let's do this. Second gear, clutch up, apply the brake, 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 and drop. And so like I said, if you carry on with these techniques and you progress with it and you keep focusing at it and you follow the tips that I suggest or what I say, if you listen to that, and obviously you listen to the other guys that are doing how to wheelie videos, you will become a master at it and you will be at balance point before you even know it. So without further ado, if you guys have any other questions, any tips or pointers or any other videos you guys want to see, put it down in the comment section below, what you want to see in the next video, and I will try my best to accommodate it. If you like what you saw, again guys, like, subscribe and share, and please don't forget to hit that little notification bell so that you guys get notified whenever I upload a new video. Sweet guys, check you in the movies. Peace. Yes.